Hello, Morongo Basin, and listeners around the world online at Z107.7fm.com. Here is the Z107.7 local news for Tuesday, June 23rd, 2026. A man was arrested on suspicion of domestic violence at the Joshua Tree Courthouse after showing up to face charges for an unrelated arrest. The San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department says that on June 16th at around 8:45 a.m., they responded to a call for domestic assault in the 7400 block of Valley Vista Avenue in Yucca Valley. Deputies identified the suspect as Collier Pepin, 42. Deputies say that Pepin slapped the victim in the face and stood in her way in an attempt to prevent her from leaving the location. The victim was eventually able to call 911. When deputies arrived, they determined that the victim had a protective order against Pepin. The victim declined treatment for her injuries. Later that same morning at around 11 a.m., deputies say Pepin arrived at the Joshua Tree Courthouse for an appearance on an active court case. Pepin is facing felony domestic violence charges related to an arrest in November 2025. Deputies took Pepin into custody at the courthouse. Collier Pepin was arrested on suspicion of domestic violence and violating a court order to prevent domestic violence. He is being held at the West Valley Detention Center on $400,000 bail. Power outages have become a regular occurrence in the Yucca Mesa and Pioneer Town areas. Southern California Edison customers have reported several blackouts over the course of June, with many occurring in the morning hours before noon. One Pioneer Town resident told Z107.7 that power outages have happened once a week over the last 3 months, and in June the frequency has increased to twice a week. Customers reported that the power was out 3 days in a row, starting Friday, June 19th, going out again on Saturday, and one more time on Sunday. Affected customers described the situation as a local emergency and have been posting their frustration on social media and contacting local elected representatives. Z107.7 reached out to SCE Representative Scott Johnson, who said that he had been made aware of the outages by customers. Johnson said, quote, "There have been a number of unplanned outages over the past few weeks, largely because these outages have not been driven by a single recurring issue or equipment failure, but rather a combination of factors." Johnson said those factors have included intermittent contact with electrical equipment from debris, vegetation, or animals, and some of the causes have not yet been determined. Johnson said that mitigation efforts to the power grid in the Yucca Mesa and Pioneer Town areas began last week and continued through the weekend. He said that field crews, along with SCE's planning and engineering departments, are trying to implement, quote, "immediate solutions to improve the reliability." Johnson said that some outages may still occur, and he encourages residents to have an emergency preparedness kit, which should include flashlights, batteries, and first aid supplies, along with a supply of water. On Monday, many SCE customers in the Morongo Basin received a mass email from the power utility warning of public safety power shutoffs, or PSPS. The email said, quote, "Severe weather events continue to increase wildfire risk across the region. When fire weather conditions put communities at risk, we may need to temporarily shut off power through a PSPS. This year, PSPSs could occur earlier, last longer, and be more extensive." That mass email included a link to an SCE website called Wildfire Communications, providing general information about PSPS alerts and how customers can prepare for outages. You can find a link to that page in this story at Z107.7fm.com. The 29 Palms City Council are set to hear an update on public opinion around a proposed 1% sales tax increase at tonight's meeting. Online news editor Robert Hayden has a look at the agenda.
In the consent agenda for tonight's 29 Palms City Council meeting, there are a few things worth mentioning if you're into pedestrian-powered travel. The Hatch Road and Sullivan Road Bike Path project is up for a 1-year extension. If you aren't familiar with the project, it'll be a 2.1-mile section of paved shoulder, which will provide Class 2 bike lanes and a pedestrian walking area. The city awarded H.R. Green with the design contract for the project in January of 2025 for the amount of $518,000. That contract is set to expire on June 30th and is expected to be extended. Desert Ace Hardware also made some improvements around their shop on Adobe Road, and a reimbursement agreement with the city for the installation of sidewalks, curbs, gutters, and other improvements is expected to be passed in the consent agenda. In public hearings, budget revisions for special revenue and capital project funds, along with discussion on the possible 1% sales tax increase ballot measure for the November 3rd general election. All that plus future agenda item discussion and, of course, your public comments. It begins at 6 o'clock tonight at 29 Palm City Hall. You can find the full agenda and remote meeting instructions at this story on our website, Z107.7fm.com. Reporting for Z107.7 News, I'm Robert Hayden.
The Yucca Valley Planning Commission will meet in regular session tonight at the Yucca Valley Community Center. They will discuss a reversion to acreage on Yucca Trail and a wall mural at High Desert Artists. Reporter Gabriel Hart takes a closer look at the meeting's agenda.
For the meeting's agenda, it is recommended the Planning Commission finds the Yucca Trail reversion to acreage exempt from the California Environmental Quality Act under the minor alterations and land use limitations, since it is retaining and existing the offer of dedication and easements. The location is at the southwest corner of Yucca Trail and Emerson Avenue, where there is currently 18 lots on 9.21 acres. It's also recommended the Commission approve a mural on the east-facing wall at High Desert Artists. Painted by the local artist Victoria Roethlisberg, the proposed mural entitled Where Time Rests in Stone will depict desert wildlife, landscapes, and history. It all begins at 6 p.m. in the Yucca Room at the Yucca Valley Community Center, open to the public with opportunity for public comment. For a link to the full agenda, please visit a link in this story at Z107.7fm.com. Reporting for Z107.7 News, I'm Gabriel Hart.
The town of Yucca Valley has appointed Faith Nicholson as its new Community Engagement and Homeless Services Coordinator. The position will focus on connecting unhoused residents with services and strengthening partnerships across the community. Nicholson will serve as a resource for residents while working closely with local organizations, county agencies, and service providers to improve coordination and expand access to available programs. The town says that Nicholson will support their efforts to address homelessness while helping maintain safe and welcoming public spaces throughout the community. Nicholson worked previously with people experiencing homelessness and others facing difficult circumstances as an outreach coordinator and peer support specialist with Valley Star Behavioral Health. She has also worked alongside local committees, coalitions, and community organizations throughout the Morongo Basin. And finally, High Desert Artists Gallery will host a free screening of the acclaimed PBS documentary Craft in America Service. The documentary traces the evolution of military arts programs from the Army Arts and Crafts program and the GI Bill to the experiences of contemporary soldiers and veterans who have found purpose and recovery through artistic practice. The screening is happening on Thursday at 6 p.m. That's happening at High Desert Artists Gallery, located at 55635 29 Palms Highway in Yucca Valley. Admission is free. That's our local news. Hear local news 7 times a day, 7 days a week at 7, 8, 9, noon, 4, 5, and 6. If you hear about news happening, let us know. Email us at tips@z1077fm.com. Reporting for the Morongo Basin News Leader, the award-winning Z1077 Local News, I'm News Director Jeff Harmatz.